Oh my God, this is incredible. So this is from Ferrister. It was posted 3 days ago, and it's titled, "What is there to do in Star Citizen?" Are you ready? How long do you think this video should be? 15 minutes? 20 minutes? 30 minutes? An hour? It's 5 minutes long. That's what there is to do in Star Citizen. It's 5 minutes long.
You don't have to look too hard to find comments about Star Citizen being incomplete, with no shortage of news covering things that aren't yet in the game. And there's certainly some truth to the fact that Star Citizen is still missing a lot of features. But many of these criticisms sidestep the fact that even in this incomplete state,
this doesn't work. Has anyone tried refueling lately? Is this like a saved thing? Is he actually doing the act of refueling right now? Because it doesn't work all the time. I got knocked out of it every time I tried.
As at patch 319, there is a lot to do in the game already. So, I'm Ferrister, and this video will cover a variety of things that you can do in the game at the current time. Oh, and if you're new to Star Citizen, you might want to check out the complete new player's guide first before diving in too deep. So perhaps one of the staple pieces of gameplay in Star Citizen is ship combat. Ordinarily, this involves piloting your spacecraft
that is currently being done on an NPC that is standing still while you are in third person using gimbal mode, not targeting like with any skill at all, right? You could do it, but he's definitely showing the experience being a bit lackluster. And the player who sees this view would be like, oh, this is so cool. It looks so cool if they've never played Star Citizen before. But what this is showing is just how jank and uninteresting it actually is.
Around a dogfight and blasting away at the guns to destroy your target. This can range from simple engagements against bots to earn some credits, all the way to high-end PvP combat against hardened combat veterans. Since some ships can have multiple players aboard, sometimes ship combat can involve manning a turret, if you prefer your ship combat to feel more Millennium Falcon than X-Wing. But for the situations where fancy flying skills don't cut the mustard, there's also first-person combat, taking your handy rifle, shotgun, pistol, or whatever your weapon of choice might be to clear out targets. It was hard not to say ground combat because
oh my God, he got an NPC who fired back.
Because although much of this can be ground combat, it could just as easily include fighting in zero gravity. Oh, and if the idea of suiting up and being on the firing line seems a bit too risky for you, you could always hop into a futuristic space tank instead. Naturally, all this
and do what? Right? What do you do in your space tank? Take out the turrets, I guess? But then what? That's the first thing I would like disagree with. Is you could do it, yeah. But it doesn't really have a loop to it. Yeah, this for right now, I mean, listen, Ferrister's come by the channel. I know he can handle a little bit of criticism. Right now, this feels like referral farming at the moment.
Fighting is going to leave some people in need of assistance, and so there is a limited set of tools available to would-be medics to help patch up players and get them back in the action. And for all of those busted up ships floating around the battlefield as space debris, players can hop into their salvage ship and strip away the parts and the hull to sell for a profit. That technology is inspired by the detailed mining gameplay loop, where players can break down a variety of space rocks and take them back to sell them for a profit. That could be using a mining ship, or a ground rover, or even just a little tool carried in your hand. And it can range from being a simple rock cracking exercise to a complicated multi-person
Okay, so he is using maybe like older footage, because this is old mining
operation involving scanning and little gadgets placed on the rocks.
Yeah, he's just listing features of the game, and that's fine. But yeah, it will always come down to the expectation of you can do these things, but I hope he does get to the point that there's no underlying systems that are kind of pushing you out there and telling you to do them, right? And that's sort of where the game lacks. Is all of these things exist in the game. It comes down to the Chris Roberts, I have more gameplay in my game than Sea of Thieves does, when technically that answer is correct, or that statement is true. You have medical, you have mining, you have salvage, you have ship combat, you have FPS, but the difference is that there's a bit more of a driving force behind doing it in Sea of Thieves. There's these gameplay aspects to it. I'm building up my reputation with this trader or whatever that are there. I've barely played Sea of Thieves, but I think you guys know what I mean, right? And there's more to it. It's much easier to interact with other players in Sea of Thieves than it is in Star Citizen. So, yeah, that's kind of the issue that I think we have here, is players are out there saying there's nothing to do, and then people who make videos and say, well, look at all the things you can do. They're not arguing that the features are not in the game. They're arguing is that there's no reason to do them, right?
But with all these mined and salvaged goods, somebody needs to ferry them around. Cargo gameplay has been in the game for a while, allowing players to buy stuff from point A and ferry it to point B to sell it for a big profit. These are often great big cargo ships, and that can certainly be fun for space truckers. But sometimes, if that investment is too much, to buy a big ship, to buy the cargo boxes, there's a couple of alternatives. The first is smaller delivery missions to take contracts to ferry little boxes around the different moons and planets and space stations, which can be a nice way to make a quick buck whilst exploring the sites.
I'm curious. I don't think those are going to stick around for too much longer. I think they're going to be replaced by like cargo missions. There might be like very few of these. I don't know. Do you think they should stick around? Like, does anybody want to be that Amazon delivery driver in terms of like the very small individual things? Maybe. Maybe they stay, but I see them almost going away and making the boxes larger or whatever. I don't find them boring, but I don't find them well designed yet. I would love to see it more of you pick up a bunch of packages and at a single location and then spread them out more than the way we have it right now. Very much more like a Amazon delivery driver, right?
Alternatively, there are other ways to
maybe it needs to make more
cargo
sense
to fill up your ship, ways that some consider to be unlawful. Pirate gameplay is in its infancy, but it's now possible to use force or the threat of force to coerce a player to hand over some cargo, or to take it if needs be. Thankfully, actions have consequences, and one such consequence for those who break in-game laws could be doing some hard time in the in-game prison system. Don't worry though, for those who don't fancy doing their time, you could do some jobs around the prison for extra credit, or alternatively just find a way to escape. For the speed demons out there, Star Citizen offers some interesting options for racing, ranging from dedicated racing ships at the cutting edge, all the way down to kart-style buggy racing. And for people who enjoy interacting with other players, there's a dedicated refueling ship to sell fuel to stranded pilots, or you could offer to transport people from A to B as a space taxi service. Or, alternatively, you could put all of those possibilities...
Again, I think refueling is incredibly broken. I definitely see issues with transport beacons, and it's tough to say these things are in game if they're not working consistently, right? That's a whole nother part of the conversation of these things are in and saying these things are in when the experiences may vary. It's a little tough.
To one side, just to explore the Stanton system. A variety of planets, moons and space stations with caves, lakes, rivers, mountains, all offer interesting destinations for intrepid adventurers who like to see the sights. So, long story short, whilst there's still a lot on the to-do list for Star Citizen, there is already a considerable amount that players can do in the game. I'll be interested to read what you enjoy doing in the game in the video comments. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel and would like YouTube to show you more videos like this, it's probably a good time to press the subscribe button. And if you'd like to give me the prompt to make more videos like this, then a click of the like button might be just the ticket. Otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I'm not going to disagree with the fact that there is lots of things to do, but I will go back to the fact that, are there reasons to do them? Are they working consistently? And are they engaging enough for you to do them for significant periods of time, right? We are buying into what we believe to eventually be an MMO or a game that is more of like your everyday play it. And there's always going to be more things to do than you have time to do. And that is just not the case right now. That is, it just felt a little bit more like referral farming than it did really explain, because you can explain that these things exist, but while conveniently ignoring the state of them. I mean, I've tried refueling. One time it worked for me. A couple times it didn't work at all. Other times it would work. I got 25% fuel and it would knock me out. If it doesn't work consistently, is it fair to make a video and say, well, you could do all these things, right? So, and this is a really fair statement as well from TV Games in chat. That video reminded me of what news used to be, just stating facts. The thing is also stating the state of them would be a fact, right? So it's not my opinion that the game doesn't work. It is a fact. So I agree with you, though, is he's just laying out in a very Chris Roberts letter from the chairman fashion of, yeah, you could do all these things. And that's fine. But disregarding the stability and how they work, when the video is being presented in a way to players who maybe don't play Star Citizen or haven't in a while, to sort of entice them to play or come back. I mean, that's the way the video is framed. That's the way it's titled and everything. I think it has some disingenuous. It's a little bit disingenuous to do it in that way, if that's fair. Yeah.